Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for December 2nd through the 8th, 2019. So let's take a moment to really breathe deeply into our bodies. And when you take a deep breath, just feel as though you're taking that deep breath from the bottom of your feet up through your toes. And as you breathe in slowly, just feel as though you're filling up your entire body with air and with the consciousness of Mother Earth. And just drawing in her ninth dimensional frequency. And as you breathe out, releasing anything that is on your mind, any concerns or worries, and letting it just flow down into the earth to be transmuted. Just give it to God. And see within your inner being, within your heart space, a beautiful glowing light that is shimmering gold. And just allow yourself to relax and kick up your feet, so to speak. Trust that everything is being taken care of. And the writing word come, as is to come into it's like coming home is what they're saying. You're coming home into the light of your inner being. It's like coming home. So they're asking you to come home and connect in with the universe and all the guidance, health, well-being, peace, and abundance, prosperity, success. Come home and allow yourself to shed those layers where you feel vulnerable because you're seeking outer validation instead of inner validation. They wanted you to come home for a reset where you just clear the slate, and if you give them permission, they can do this for you in terms of clearing your third eye, clearing your intuition, all of your receptors of information, intuitive information, and psychic abilities. Give them permission to clear these channels for you now. As you breathe in this golden light into all of your chakras, and especially your third eye. And again, breathing in the grounding frequency of Mother Earth and this golden frequency, fifth dimensional frequency of your higher being. And breathing out all the lower vibrations of consciousness, all the debris, that is to say the attachments, the things that we have plugged ourselves into that may be draining your energy and that you no longer need to be attached to, that you love is all the fulfillment that you need, and this love is within you, within your soul's home base. And that the more that you take from or exchange with this home base within your soul, the less you will form these types of attachments which need clearing. And they're telling me that they give you signs, pre-signs, before you need to rely, or before you reach out for these attachments, the validations that cost, because they draw you immediately into drama or confusion in your mind about who you are and which direction you should choose. Once you are having these types of experiences, you are already out of alignment. You are already forming unhealthy and unnecessary attachments. And what they need you to stop doing is to stop doubting. To stop doubting your intuition. To stop doubting your own desires. And start giving yourself permission to have these desires. To trust your instincts. To not feel as though you're missing out on something, or you will miss out on something if you don't go with the crowd, if you will. This is how we were talking about in last week's reading. The devil card came up, and he was holding those strings, the puppeteer. And so that the things that you expose yourself to, instead of you being the creator of your reality, these things become that. It's like you're putting the cart before the horse. Many of you, they say, in your life purpose, you're seeking outer validation. You're seeking success, recognition from others that you're successful, or you're seeking money as a goal, or you're seeking whatever it is, you're seeking that first as the goal rather than that feeling within of self-fulfillment or accomplishment. That feeling of knowing, of alignment, knowing that you are where you deserve to be. Ignoring that blissful experience and they say this blissful experience offers just total freedom. You stop thinking about what everybody else wants. You stop thinking about, how to please others. You stop thinking about how to manage all this stuff. When you're caught up in your attachments, it means that you're working to pay off the things that you have, your possessions, rather than in being able to enjoy what you have accrued for yourself. And the only way you can enjoy what you have is because you are resonating deeply with what you're doing, the choices that you have made that seem so much like a part of you that you can't separate. This love for what you do. And you find so many ways you find yourself appreciating, and you find yourself inspired that this devotion you have to your passion or your purpose keeps giving back over and over. That's the kind of confidence that you receive when you align yourself with that pure desire, when you are fulfilling your truth, this is the work. I keep writing opera because it does mean work. It means a work. This is the kind of opus that you want to fulfill. And it doesn't matter where you are, but it matters how you approach it. So we're not telling you to leave your job, but we are telling you to change your approach. Start being inspired. Start trusting your intuition. Start listening to those creative ideas. You know, when you, and they're writing the word orgasmic, because when you listen to those ideas, it feels orgasmic. It's so similar to that, where you're like, oh, and you're just so uplifted to this level of, it's like a climax of within yourself, where you can feel the connection, and you can feel that this is so good that it's going to play out really well, even though there are going to be some challenges as you try to develop that idea. But you just know deep within that it's going to play out really well. Not just for you, but for everyone else. And that's the connection that we're often missing. That this brilliant purpose is about uplifting you and uplifting others. And when you focus through that channel, there's endless possibilities for happiness and joy and abundance to go around for everyone. Everyone. And it's through this pleasure, this orgasmic experience, that you learn to enjoy what you have. Because you're good at giving pleasure and receiving from that same pleasure, that you learn to receive from the rewards that that pleasure offers you, whether that be in, accolades, recognition, possessions, things, revenue. You learn to enjoy it. You learn to take pleasure in it, every detail. Because every detail keeps offering something back to you, whether it triggers relaxation in your body and ease, or if it triggers brilliant ideas or excellence in your skills. It's a ricochet that just keeps flying around, keeps just shooting off sparks. And you can launch this whole experience for yourself. You can launch this entire experience for yourself if you change your approach. If you reorient your life within any particular experience around the intuitive awareness of your spirit, of your Holy Spirit. And this is why it's so important, as I'm bringing it back now, that you don't form attachments that draws drama, confusion, restlessness, lack of peace, this psychic debris, because that's what it really equates to. When you get yourself into these attachments that aren't fulfilling, they drain, they don't give feedback, they don't feed you. This is why those channels, especially this particular channel, the third eye, your intuition, gets clogged. And it's like when it's like a cloudy day that's endless. It's like like your third eye, when it's clogged like this with these attachments, it becomes like a storm or heavy clouds, storm clouds, where you feel depressive and you feel traumatized, and blocked and stuck and unmotivated, because the sun of your inner being is not able to penetrate what you choose to put in its place. And so by re-examining and shifting your approach, so the light is within you, it cannot be extinguished. So though you may have storm clouds, but this is a perception. You are perceiving. The third eye is about the perception you're having. And even though those storm clouds are there, the sun is still shining within your heart. And all you have to do is think creatively. All you have to do is think, or allow yourself to be guided, or to take an inspired action or an inspired risk, because that's what it'll feel like when you have storm clouds. Take an inspired risk and do what you and your spirit feels is just in the moment. Take that inspired risk and stop worrying about everybody and what they can do to you if you do X, Y, Z. Don't worry about what other people may say or do, or how they will react if you change and don't toe the line. Take an inspired risk. Because once you release those attachments, that outward validation, and you can clear your third eye, clear all this debris, this psychic debris that gets stuck in our emotional and our mental, spiritual bodies, physical body that wears us down, because we start to, become tired, fatigued. Clear this out and start and shifting your approach. And everything, in order to do this, everything comes from within. Every impulse, every desire comes from within. And it's coming because you have a goal to uplift not only yourself but others. You can't mess it up once you bring those two components together and merge it with your purpose. All right, so let's take a look at the card for this week and see what the message is. This is Archangel Gabriel. And Archangel Gabriel's name means the strength of God. And as we said last week, as he came up with the leadership reading, and I can't remember because the nuance of that conversation, but now this week, it's about nurturing yourself. So last week he was asking you to be courageous and somehow, being true to yourself. Being true to yourself and your voice, your inner voice. And now it's almost as if he's asking us to nurture that inner voice, to nurture ourselves into wholeness. Now the card says, as you nurture a child, you nurture your own inner child. Both activities are important for you now. And so what I'm feeling is that this is more inner child, more than the literal child, that you may encounter in this week other people's inner child acting out, and that you could react rather than respond, which would be to be compassionate and give the space that you would want someone to give you, meaning hold the space for someone. Hold the space of love, not getting caught up in it, not getting drawn into their drama, but hold in the space of light, of truth. That's tough to do when people want to throw tantrums and you want to support them, and you support them by going there and, talking them through it and, saying, I know, I understand. And, you're afraid to say the thing that's coming to you because you feel like it's going to, shock them, or shock them in a way that, like, say, get out of that. But if you feel led to take them away from that and to bring light and to say, look, this is in your hands. You can do X, Y, Z, and this will shift. They may not want to hear it, but in your heart, if you feel the openness in your heart to say it, trust that. Trust that when you do that, there's a message in it for you as well. So don't be afraid to tell the truth, to nurture someone with truth, that is, to nurture them with the truth. Because as you do this, you're not only uplifting them, but you're uplifting yourself. Okay? So this is very important right now that we pay attention to who it is that we're called. Because, Archangel Gabriel is a messenger. So he's an archangel also we associate with all forms of communication. So I keep saying the word messages. And so this week, you're going to really find yourself really sharing messages with people. And don't hesitate if your heart is open and you can feel that their heart is open and you feel right away that you understand. Like, usually somebody's talking to me right away. I know I understand, and I can. It's like a light bulb goes off, and I see exactly what they're doing, what they're saying, and what's going on, and what they're creating for themselves. And you need to say it because you may have that same issue. Like, please don't believe that the things I talk to you about, that I am anywhere a master over these things. It is because that I get up here, I show up to give despite my own shortcomings, that I am able and I'm somehow able to just quiet my heart and my mind about my own shortcomings, and in that void where spirit is full in this moment, I'm able to hear because I'm listening, and I'm able to hear things that I would not be able to hear by myself. So this partnership, that when we share, it's a partnership. Whatever you do is never just about you, that you live, that you, it's not this way for any of us because we're all connected. And so there will always be some reason why you are sharing with another, because all of us are connected and we all there's, I don't want to make this sound so insignificant or play it down, but we all, I think the human condition has a certain number of, issues that we all get caught up in. And so there is not any one of us who is exempt from the human conditions, the traps that we fall into, the sabotage of our ego. It's the sabotage of our ego isn't nuanced enough to be so clever that it can think up infinite strategies. That is the total opposite. And that is why the conditional human behaviors are not that vast. And so, we are, because the ego is repetition, cycles, you see? So when we're dealing with our egos, the inner child, if you want to call it that too, there's so much similarity about this. And so when you're helping someone else, you are helping yourself. You may be on another facet of it, and I'm not going to say of the end of it, but another facet of it, but you are still, this connection is just as much a healing for you as it is for them. You just happen to be the one maybe more practiced at listening. That's what I would say I'm better at, is I'm more practiced at listening to the universe through this kind of interaction. Not so easy alone, but very easy for me when there's a need outside of myself, of others. I'm immediately triggered. And this is how it is for most of us. We just don't beat yourself up for not being perfect, because that's the beauty of being who we are. It is that imperfection that causes us to strive to improve or to perfect. And those improvements is what creates new possibilities in the universe in this side of reality that is equal to the grandeur of what we think is the mysticism of non-physical beingness. All right, so let's take a look at the cards for the week and see which card comes up for the beginning of the week. Whoa, now this is interesting. I am so tempted to look because I don't usually. Okay, no, that card is upside down, and it's interesting because this card came up in a personal reading, and it threw me. So I don't usually do the reversals, but here we have the Four of Pentacles. I just turned it around so you can see it, but I just want to make sure because I didn't remember turning my deck upside down by mistake. So we have the Four of Pentacles, which usually is about we're holding on to something and we're holding ourselves back in some way, that we are not willing to let go. We're afraid of, taking risks. And so, this card could now mean in this reversal of somehow maybe there's a need to be more prudent or to be more sort of buyer beware kind of thing, okay? And, people read reversals in different ways, opposites, and but right now I'm going with this in the way that it's being guided to me, the words I'm kind of hearing. So there's a sense that you could not to be afraid. So when this card is the way it is normally, it's almost like this person is suspicious and they make decisions out of fear. But here it's about, for me that is, and people could agree or disagree, but again, so we're not doing this to be validated, right? But for me in this moment, it feels like that you need to be aware is the energy here. That you need to be aware of how you are, spending, or how you are, what things you're being drawn towards, so that maybe you're more discriminating. Maybe you're not usually discriminating enough, and you let yourself just sort of really let yourself go. You kind of get caught up in the moment, and you do something, and then you regret it. And I feel like there is a sense that you need to be aware somehow, that you need to be paying attention to your inner guidance. And if this thing resonates with you or not, if you're feeling confused in some way, then it's about, are you really connected? Is that something coming from you, or is this ego? Is this a inner child thing? That's something that's that's motivating you to do this, or making you feel like you have to do it, rather than this is something that is appropriate for you now. Okay? So this is what I'm kind of getting about this card right now. Let me just tune in. And, this card too is, you can see she has, she's kind of separated herself. She's up on her balcony. And, I would say that you don't need to be cautious in the sense that you keep yourself away from opportunities. That you need to go out and you need to be out there in order for your talents to or for things to happen for you. So, this card also reminds me of the talents, where you're hiding your talents under a bushel and you're isolating yourself. So for me, this card would be about, you need to be out there in order for things to happen, but you need to be aware, which is different from being suspicious or stingy. Don't be afraid to give, but just give when it feels right. Don't hold yourself back because you're afraid of the risks of putting yourself out there, but be aware of the opportunities that are worth the risk for you. Trust your intuition. Trust that feeling that you get. Trust the connection with the purpose. If you have the skill that matches this purpose and you have the ideas to inspire, then trust that. It's not a loss. You're going to gain something anyway. So I see this as, it may cost you something, but you're going to gain something else, rather than being afraid to risk anything and you just hold on to it tight and you don't gain any experience and you don't move anywhere, which is the complete opposite of this card, which is how I'm reading this as a reversal. Okay, so this card is, I don't know if I had this come up in our on this weekly angel reading, but it did come up in the daily card messages. And so, and it's interesting because these women almost look similar, but of course they're not. I think the other lady may be Middle Eastern, but they have this similar head gear that they're wearing. So there is something here with this card. You can see her scar. This is a card of healing. So her scars are healing. She's been through the worst. She's allowed her mind to get the best of her, because that's what the swords is really about. It's telling a story of how we let our mind really, our thoughts undermine us to the point of where we put ourselves in these really traumatic places because we kept giving in to the ego. We kept giving in to that inner child distortion of reality. And and what happens when we don't trust, right? But the 10s are the turnover point. So it's the ending and the beginning. And so it's a period of renewal. And so really, this card is saying, well, the worst is behind you now, right? And now it's time to focus. If you're not in a place where you feel like things are healing, it's time for you to focus on mending and healing. It's a time for you to let the scars heal. Don't keep peeling the scab. Don't keep scratching and rubbing the scabs off. Let things heal and see where things happen. Now I'm just seeing message all over the place. Okay, so this is a huge message. If I get a feeling, if you're digging into something and you won't let it go, okay, pay attention to what this conversation or this route has done to you already, and cease doing this any further. Do not open this up anymore. So I get this feeling like I need to say this to, like, I don't care what you think how important this thing is, let it go. Okay? Let it go, because the effects is that it's keeping you isolated, and you need to get out there. You need to get out there. You need to trust yourself. You need to start putting yourself out there and seeing what can happen, but be just discerning. The difference here is the ego was running you to this place. But now you're going to use discernment you're going to trust your intuition. You're going to clear the debris and be open to the clarity of your higher self. And it will give you clear signs. Okay? Let's take a look at the card for the end of the week. See what happens when we follow our intuition. The sun comes out. So the clouds are lifted. We have clouds here. And I don't know why this headgear, I mean, I know it's used for other purpose and it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But I just keep getting this feeling like we're covering something up. We're covering our ideas. We're concealing our ideas. We're not we're not sharing them. We're not putting them out there. Okay? And we're also closed off to the messages that are coming to us, those ideas. And if you focus on this, instead of there's something you're focusing on from the past, there's something that's holding you back, it's something that has made you distrustful of others and yourself. It's made you, something has happened, and it could be something financially where, you took this risk, you didn't succeed, and now you just feel like you got to hold on tight to everything, and this is no way to live. So upon doing this, upon letting this go, the sun comes out. You will have success. And you will feel free. I mean, look at this beautiful card and all the beautiful colors. It's about, when in these cards, you're holding yourself back. You let your ego sabotage you. And what you are holding back from yourself is all of this variety, all this colorful nuance and beauty, experience, opportunities is what you're holding back from yourself. And that's why it's so important for you to pay attention to the messages, because this is the word that keeps coming up. Pay attention to the messages that are coming to you. Pay attention to the messages that are coming through you to give to other people. They're writing the word assessment. And I guess what I'm feeling about this is that, you have the messages to give to other people, and then assess the situations that are right for you to engage people. So not everybody, I'm not telling you go everybody you see give a message to. Your heart has to be open. Their heart has to be open. And that is an exchange you will feel. You'll feel that connection, and you'll know that it's time that it's right for you to speak with those messages that keep coming to your heart. Don't be afraid to share your story. They're just showing me laundry hanging on outside, blowing in the wind. Don't be afraid, to share your story. Like, I saw this for the first time in a reading, and it meant, airing your laundry, your dirty laundry. Don't be afraid to share your stories. They're not dirty in the first place. And it's how you perceive them. You can either choose to tell your story through this beautiful perspective, or you can tell it through this one, and this will just create this situation for you. And I have a feeling that you keep telling, your inner child tells this story that persecutes you or makes you feel ashamed. And, there's a story of wisdom, there's a story of strength, there's a story of how you overcame, and you need to be the one that starts telling that story in order for the healing in the right way, in the higher perspective way, your higher self's perspective, in order for you to really let those scars go ahead and heal. But once you do, your whole life is going to shift. Okay, so don't hold back, but just be aware. Don't hold back. Go out, but be aware from your inner being. Realign all of the connections that you've made with awareness rather than suspicion or fear or the sense of doom and gloom or failure. Retell your story. Repair your inner child by retelling the story from a wiser perspective of your higher self. You can do this by journaling. But as you tell the story, look for the higher purpose. Look for see the great cause. Ask yourself, how does what I went through, how could this be an inspiring message to others, and then start writing it? Because when you do that, that allows you to heal those scars of your mind, of your ego, of your inner child. And it will liberate you so you'll never be able to be stuck in that story that your ego tells or your inner child throws a tantrum and whines about. You'll be free. This is what they want you to be free. This is the reason that Archangel Gabriel wants you to tell your story so that it is a strength. You see, because that's what his name is, the strength of God. We're walking around with stories in our memories that are painful, and they're destructive for us. They're self-destructive, and you are a spiritual being, and everything that you do has a purpose, and you don't see it, but it's there. And so you need to tell this story as a story of strength. All right, you have to get to that place. All right, so let's take a look at the card. Now, this card has come up before, but I'm not sure where, but I know it's coming up for a reading last week. And this card, when I was talking earlier, this is what I was feeling about this card, was this whole thing of our, reevaluating what we think is success. And excellence, and having all that come from within. So everybody thinks about this card as being financially independent and successful. But this really starts from within. You come with the talents. Those talents are with you. And, your purpose, and this is what I was talking about earlier, how you are you setting your goals, and everything is on that outward validation. And then you don't have the ability to enjoy any of it. Whereas if you shift the approach, then you learn to inspire from within. So I won't go repeat all of that, but this was the card I was thinking about from the symbols that I was seeing. And now here it is as the underlying message for this week. So this is just validating this whole change in approach is what's going to give you that inner confidence to recognize that you are successful from within. You're successful before you achieve it outside. It should be that what you achieve outside of you is the result of your acknowledgement of your inner success. Before you begin something, because this is someone who's, who excels in their skill. Look, she has, it looks like she's an herbalist, and this is her craft, and she's specialized. I see this card as about the specialist, someone who specializes in a particular area, and they have excelled in that. And because they have that, the skills, they are already a success. What it's about now is, getting out there doing it and accumulating recommendations and word of mouth. They become sort of famed because of just their honing their craft. They attracted to them the fame or the security because they perfected their craft. And a deeper level of this perfecting the craft. And I'll just give this example again, as I did in the daily card message for last week. But there's a juice bar in my neighborhood, and the gentleman that runs it, there's another juice bar that opened up that is also a bar at night and all these other things, because its focus is clearly on, bottom line, money. With him, he's a great businessman. He has three different places, but he his focus, he specialized in this juice bar because health is a passion for him. Health is a passion for him. And when you go in there, you get that from him. The love that he offers you, he treats you like you're his family. And everyone feels that. And his business has not declined at all, because this other big business set up this competing bar / juice bar in the day and bar at night, and eatery. He hasn't lost any business because people know what they're getting. And that's a rare thing, which is someone who cares about their health. And this is something that people don't focus on when they're doing their work. Many bigger businesses, they're focused on the bottom line, the money. Everybody's focused on the money, but the motivation that makes it successful for you and pleasurable for you is that you're doing something that you're passionate about, and that gives back to you. And then you're doing it for other people, which also gives back to you and gives to them. So this is, again, set your priorities is what's going on here. But it looks like we need to get past some inner child work, some stories that we tell ourselves that just give us the opposite effect of what we really want to achieve. And that story is what's blocking your financial independence. This is the bottom line of this entire message. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings. And I thank you for joining us. And if you're looking for an angel reading, I will start that up again after the holidays. And you can, it usually takes a week to and a half. But it's best to go ahead and, sign up and then we can schedule your appointments. I schedule them in the order that they were received. So also don't forget to join us for the daily card messages on Facebook. I should be starting that in this week again. So everyone have a beautiful week, and God bless you. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey.